first year of my photography business, I basically made every mistake that you could possibly make. And anybody who's followed me for any length of time knows that I like to talk about those mistakes, because really, if you could just not do the things I did, you will be much more successful more quickly. And a lot of them, and the reason they're hard not to make, they're easy mistakes to make, right, is because they're generally thought of as good things by the majority of the photography industry, not just in real estate photography, but the photography industry in general. There's a lot of pretty bad business advice and a lot of people who don't make a lot of money. And that's not my goal. My goal is to help you not be a starving artist and actually grow your business quickly. And so I put together what I think are the 5 biggest mistakes I made and the reason for those mistakes. And I wanted to talk you through those on this video, because if you've either just started or you're thinking about starting a real estate media business, if you could just avoid them, you will be so much better off. You'll make more money quickly, and that's my goal. So jumping straight into it, these aren't necessarily in a certain order, but I do think some are bigger than others. And I'll kind of highlight those. And this first one I think is definitely one of the bigger ones, which is not creating a real plan. Like, you have a goal for your business. Maybe that's, eventually you'd love to see if it could help you quit your job and like replace your income, or maybe you want to scale it in the future, but you have these like kind of vague big picture ideas for what you want to have happen in your business. And those are great. You have to have those. Those are the reason you started the business. But if you can take a second to kind of figure out more what you want and some sort of a time horizon for making it happen, that actually gives you like an equation to solve. Not equation in like the sense that you have to be good at math, right? So don't lose me if you're like, just something you can reverse engineer. And so let's say in your current job, you make $8,000 a month. And that's your income, and then you have taxes and stuff taken out of that. But you make $8,000 a month. I think one of the one of the best first goals you could have would be to replace your income so you can quit your job. And I would encourage you to do that on the side. I wouldn't encourage you to like quit and then figure it out. Some people like to do that. If you have a ton of savings and you're comfortable doing that, sure. But for most people, you want to be able to replace your income, or at least have a pretty good idea of when that's going to happen before you quit. And so here's where a little math comes in. You can take your calculator. Now that we have a goal and a time frame, right? So we talked about the 8K goal. Let's say you want to quit in 6 months. You know that, in 6 months, you need to make $8,000 in a month. So I'm going to put that in the calculator, 8,000. And I'm going to divide that by $250 average order value. It's about how much you should get per shoot. And, probably it's going to be higher than that, but I don't want you to like underestimate and mess it up for yourself. So always go the more conservative route and put the 250, because then if you get 300, it's less, right? So that means you need to do 32 shoots in a month to hit your goal. And you could say, if I want to do 4 shoots a weekend, I'm going to take off, 16 shoots there. If I do 4 shoots a weekend, approximately, that's right? Yeah, 16. So now I have 16 more shoots I have to solve for. And then, if I do 4 shoots a week, that's another 16. So you really have to do like 4 shoots every weekend, which is pretty easy. I mean, you could do all those on Saturday. And then like 4 shoots throughout the week. So 1 after work or before work, 4 out of 5 days per the week. And that would, replace from a top line perspective, you're gonna have expenses, your income, right? And so having that goal and that timeline is really good. You can actually take it a step further. I'm not going to do that in this video, but you can take it a step further and go, well, how many clients is it going to take for me to do this? And then how many messages am I going to send to get that many clients? So the big picture mistake I made is not having clarity on where I was trying to go and how soon I'd like to be there. Doesn't mean you're going to hit it, right? I mean, I think you totally could hit 8K within 6 months, an 8K month within 6 months. It's just going to be work, but this gives you at least a little bit of an idea to know if you're on track or if you're doing the right things, and a little bit of urgency with the deadline. I think it's crazy how well procrastination can help you if you're a procrastinator, the moment before something is due, you have that like window of just burst of productivity. Like, you can create that for yourself by setting your own deadlines, and therefore you'll move faster, because I think everybody procrastinates for the most part. The big one on this is like, the takeaway is that like hope is not a strategy, right? Hope is helpful, creates motivation, it's optimism. You have to have it. You have to have hope that this is going to work out, but like hope itself is not a strategy. But if you pair hope with a strategy, it's very effective. Okay, moving on to the second one. This is a relatively smaller mistake, but it's a symptom of a bigger one, which is like buying unnecessary gear and putting a lot of time into that side of your business. For me, the reason I did that at the start was I thought that I needed that stuff to like look legitimate, right? And have a real business. And that's what the pros do. And so I told myself that lie, but really all I needed was clients, right? I didn't need to look a certain way. I just needed clients. And I thought that looking a certain way was going to get me those clients. And the like takeaway here is a lot of times new photographers buy gear to feel ready. But the only way you'll be ready is by just doing the work for clients. So it's like you trying to get out from under that imposter syndrome where you're just like, I don't want to do this. So therefore, let me up my gear. Let me work on that first. Then you get the new piece of gear and you're like, I need to learn this first. And so we buy gear to feel ready when action is what actually gets us ready. That one, I wish someone would have just like told me that in that way. So, okay, moving on to number 3, wasting too much time getting a perfect portfolio. I hear people say that a lot to me, and I did it too. They'll be like, Eli, I'm not quite ready to launch yet. I need to build up my portfolio a little more. And I get it. Like you want to have stuff to show your clients, and you want them to be like, man, this person's a pro. But really what it is you just don't want to get rejected. And so you keep building a portfolio that no one sees. Like you keep putting time into this because you don't want a client to go like, oh, where's your portfolio? And you send it and they don't like it, right? Here's the truth. Nobody cares about your portfolio in real estate photography. It's just not an industry where you'll ever get asked for that. And you're thinking, Eli, I've already been asked already. They asked for some samples of your work, not a perfectly crafted portfolio. So you could literally, you live somewhere right now. It may be a nice place. It may not be a nice place. It doesn't matter. Shoot that as it is. Get a couple of photos in there. The reality is the most of the houses you shoot are not going to be super nice houses anyway. So don't let that excuse of like, I don't live somewhere nice. And if you really don't want to use your own house, you can go to model homes. There's probably a new build community somewhere within an hour of you that you can go ask to shoot in a model home. You probably have friends' houses. And if you really want to, you could even rent an Airbnb for a night, right? They're going to be nice and staged. Sure, it costs money, but there's so many ways to fix this. You need one house to be able to show as a sample. Because when they say, hey, can you send me over some of your work? They're not asking for this perfect portfolio. Like one house literally will do. Biggest thing here is just, if I think the thought and the reason we all want this really nice portfolio is because you think if it's not perfect, they'll know you're new. And then you're so worried about people knowing you're new. But I actually think you being new is one of the greatest strengths. And we encourage our clients in coaching to lean into that in their messaging, that they're new and they're so excited. Because if you're a real estate agent, you've worked with vendors that weren't very good. They've been doing this so long, they don't really care. You're just a number. Like if I'm a real estate agent, I want to work with someone that's new and excited. And so the takeaway is if it's not perfect, they'll know I'm new. And the reframe of that is if I'm new, that's a good thing. And then you stop being worried about it. This is just one of those times when done is better than perfect. You just got to get it done and you got to start working with clients. And then it's funny because people spend all this time trying to build a portfolio. They'll spend months. And then once they start getting clients, they never need it again, right? They never even need it in the first place. And so, yeah, just don't waste too much time on getting a perfect portfolio. One house will do. Okay. Mistake number 4. This one, devastating if you do it. Your business will still grow, but the speed at which it grows is so reduced. One of my biggest mistakes of all, which is just waiting on referrals. So you get a couple clients, you don't really do any more client acquisition stuff. You maybe stop doing the Instagram method. You don't do any outbound method. You don't visit any brokerages. I don't really recommend that so much, but it's better than nothing, the brokerage thing. And so the problem with this one and why it's such a costly mistake that so many people make is you can totally do this, right? You can wait on referrals and your business will absolutely grow. And that's one of the best things about real estate media. And once your business grows, when you have 100 clients, 200 clients, first of all, you have a great 6-figure business at that point, but you have so many people referring you that referrals kind of take over. But between 0 and 100 clients, you can do a lot of work yourself to move your business through that stage as fast as possible. Because during that stage, referrals aren't as strong. You get them here or there, but it's just, if you just take a little bit and you just get one, client every couple of weeks, it takes much longer than if you're actively doing client acquisition. So especially when you're under 100 clients, just by the way, side note here, if you have 100 clients, you're going to have a 6-figure a year business. Never seen somebody that doesn't, right? Unless there's clients that don't work with them anymore. But if you have 100 clients, 100 people who call you when they get a listing, some are really busy, some are not busy. It's going to average out. You're going to do at least 6 figures a year, if not more. A lot of times it's a lot more than that. Closer to $200,000 a year with 100 clients for a lot of people. It just depends on your market. But anyway, if you think about that, your goal with that in mind is just to get from 0 to 100 clients. And so if you're under that stage, one client is 1% of your business. So if you get 10 clients, you just boosted your business by 10%. That's easy, getting 10 clients, right? You just have to be willing to do the repetitive work. It's not even scary work. The Instagram method, you don't even talk to anybody, right? It's just boring. And that's why a lot of people don't do it. So don't wait around on referrals. it's not the best photographer that wins, it's the best known. And I think a lot of people that are kind of coasting on referrals, they spend all their time on the product and think if their work is good, it will sell itself. And it will. It's just the slowest way to sell it. I'd rather you have the best stuff around, or at least really good stuff, and then tell everybody about it, because the best known photographer wins, not the best one. Number 5, not literally just copying someone who's already done this. I know you're saying, Eli, I don't want a coaching pitch right now. That's not even what I'm saying. Like, independent of coaching, don't think you have to be new and unique and have some like competitive advantage to break into the industry. That will leave you spending so much time working on stuff that differentiates you that doesn't matter. Like, so many people have started a real estate photography business successfully, and even if you're in the market with 10 other people that are doing it, you just doing the same thing will get you clients, because everybody kind of has their own niche. If I reach out to 100 clients and you reach out to the same 100 clients, I'm going to get some of them and you're going to get some of them. Why is that? Who knows? Some of them might like how you look better. Some of them might be better timed with your message, right? They just had you never know. You are your own niche. You are your own competitive advantage. So don't spend a lot of time like trying to do stuff differently. It's wasted time. Like, literally copy someone who's doing it. I wrote down here, I tried to be original when I should have just copied success. Like, I got to do it all this. Like, just do what's already working. This isn't an industry where it's like, it's not winner take all. It's not if you're the best, you get all the clients, right? It just doesn't work like that. And so the big picture takeaways, like, if you want to go fast, follow someone who's already done it. And what that means is not just someone, it's not like capital S someone, it's like the whole industry. Like, there's so many companies that are successful and they all do almost exactly the same thing. They all have their little tweaks for how they do it, but it's like, they do shoots well, they have good systems, they do client acquisition, and their customer service is good. And if you do those things, you'll be successful. Now, there's obviously like nuance to each of those, but don't spend so much time trying to differentiate yourself. It's okay to be like everybody else. Just do the work, right? How you differentiate yourself is maybe you have the same product and you offer the same services. We all offer photos, videos, 3D tours, floor plans, all this stuff, right? Well, maybe your difference is that you just do more client acquisition, right? Like, maybe that's all the difference needs to be. And I think that's the most important difference you can make, is be the least lazy when it comes to reaching out to getting new clients. So the underlying theme of all these, which you probably sort of built to take away, but the most costly thing that you can do as a new real estate photographer is let your imposter syndrome hold you back or prevent you from doing something when you should have done it. So if you go back on all these, I'll just go back and like go through it. Okay, not creating a real plan. You know what you want to do, but it kind of feels bad if you start to engineer it. You're like, what am I doing? Why am I even starting this business, right? That's imposter syndrome. Going to number 2, buying unnecessary gear. Why do you buy the gear? Because you want to look legit, right? Because you feel like an imposter. So you feel like the gear is going to get you there, right? Going on to number 3, perfect portfolio. You want to not get rejected. So you spend all this time on a portfolio because you feel like an imposter. You're like, I'm not ready yet. I need a better portfolio, right? Number 4, waiting for referrals. You don't like reaching out to new clients because every time you do, you're like, what am I doing, right? I'd rather just let my clients do that. I'll kind of keep this small and on the side so I don't have to like have that cringe feeling of like, what am I doing starting this business? And then last one, you don't want to copy someone because you feel like you feel like an imposter. You're like, I need to do something different, right? If I'm the same as them and they've been in business longer, why would someone not just use them? There's plenty of reasons, like we talked about. Again, it comes back to imposter syndrome. And so the mistakes really are symptoms where the disease is imposter syndrome. And the reality with imposter syndrome is the only way that you get over it is just by doing the stuff that triggers it. So if you're scared if imposter syndrome is triggered in you by reaching out to clients, you need to reach out to clients. That's the fastest way to get rid of it, right? I actually think imposter syndrome is like radar for you. It tells you what you need to do. Wherever you get that feeling, it's like, oh, that's what I need to do. I still get the feeling today, but only when I'm doing bigger things, right? And so the amount you get that feeling is going to go down. But if it stops altogether, you're not pushing the business, right? I used to get it. I remember very clearly, I made my first business cards and I got them and I was like, I just felt it. I was like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing with this? I'm not a real estate. Like, what are these business cards, right? Silly little thing triggered it. And then it was like going to the first shoots. And then it was reaching out to clients. And then it just kept getting to further level things. Then it was hiring my first photographer and hiring my first admin and then teaching for the first time 5 years ago. I'm like, what do I know? I'm just someone who messed it all up, right? And that triggered it again. Then we did our first conference. All these things like trigger it. And it's radar. And it's how you know you're on the right track. And so, don't let it discourage you. And just for fun, if you've already built a successful real estate media company below, comment what your thoughts are on these things, and maybe share some wisdom to somebody who's just starting. And if you're currently trying to start, you're in those early phases of your real estate media business, you're doing less than $5,000 a month or whatever, like comment what you think your imposter syndrome cost is. Like, what is holding you back because you have imposter syndrome? And I think it'd be a cool way to like build some community here in the comments. So with that being said, I hope that was valuable. If you want our roadmap to not making the mistakes I made, that's what I get to do for a living now. And I love it because I can help people grow a lot faster than I did. You can find the link to talk with my team in the comments. If you haven't yet, don't let that trigger imposter syndrome. We can't force you to join coaching, right? That's not how I run my business. And it's not even possible, first of all. So like, get on the phone, chat with us, see if it's right for you. If it's not, no worries at all. At least you know. And I'll see you in the next video.